Okay, so in previous video that we looked at a Class C network. So in this one, we're going to look at a Class B network. So things get a bit more complicated here. Again, you're going to need foundational knowledge regarding binary to decimal conversions and default subnet masks, broadcast addresses, and what a network address is. I can't stress that highly enough that you can identify a network address and you understand that a broadcast address is the last address on a subnet. Okay, so we've got our trusty spreadsheet here, and the question we've been asked is we've been given this IP address 172.16.0.0, which is a Class B address, and we have to break it up to accommodate 2,000 hosts. Okay, so how we start from here is with a Class B, unlike the last Class C network we looked at. We're gonna have a different default subnet mask. So we know from our previous knowledge that by default, the serial notation for a Class B is a /16. So that's using 16 bits for the network portion and 16 bits for the host. So I can put that in for a start, whereas on the Class C was 24, where the default subnet mask was 255.255.255.0. Okay, so for this one, we need to work out a new subnet mask from the default, and how we're going to go about that is we're going to work from right to left. So we can't use the fourth octet because there's not enough. We've only got up to 256 there. We can't use the first portion of the third octet. 512 is not enough. 1024 is not enough. But this column here, where 2 to the power of 11, so 11 bits in the host portion gives us 2048, fits into the range that we need for this question. So I'm going to turn all these numbers green so it makes it simpler. Okay, so we've got a bit more room to play with. We can't get it exact because that's just not how it works, but our total usable hosts, remember, is 2048. Okay, so just remember the difference between host and usable hosts, because we always need to remember that one is reserved for the network address and one is reserved for the broadcast address. So we always need to take away 2. So in this scenario, the total usable hosts is 2046. So one will go to the broadcast and one will go to the network address. Okay, our new SIDRA notation, because we have our default is 16, so the first and the second octet would all be ones. This as we go into the third octet, we have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So we've got 5 more. So our new SIDRA notation is a /21. Now, if we translate that into a subnet mask, put 21, turn the lights on for 21 bits, we are simply adding to our already default would have 255.255, but we're adding these together here. So the 128, 64, 32, 16, and 8. So if it was a /17, we'd just be having the 128. So it'd be 255.255.128. But in this scenario, we need 21, so we need to add all these together, these 5 numbers, which gives us 248. So our new default, our new subnet mask is 248.0. Okay, so now we need to look at our address ranges. Now, previously we looked at the final octet and the number was going up on the Class C range, but in the Class B, it's the third octet we're looking at. So I like to type in the network addresses first. So the first one has been given to us, which is down here, which is 172.0.0, and we're going up in blocks of 8. So that's where this portion comes here on the network side. So our next network address will be 172.16.8.0, and then 172.16.0, and then 16.16.0, and then 172.16.24.0, 172.16.32.0. When you've got fully involved in this sort of subnetting, you become very good at adding multiples together. Okay, so again, my strategy, it might be different to yours, but I like to put the network address and broadcast address in first into my table. So the last address on this network would be 172.16.7.255, and then the next one would be 172.16.55. So notice how this is different to the Class C network. We're working on that third octet here, which does make things a bit more complicated. 23.255, 72.16.31.255, and then we've got 39 and 72.16.39.255. Okay, so now we can just put our ranges in. So the first usable addresses on this network could be 16.1, sorry, .0.1. And then 8.1, 16.1, 72.16, 24.1, 2.16, 32.1, and then our range is going to be so this is going to be the last usable address, so these should all end in 254. So that'll be 7.254, 16.15.254, 72.16.16.254. Oops, 23. It's difficult when you're working on spreadsheets and looking at the number above it all the time. 31.254, and then 172.16.39.254. Okay, and this is going to go on and on and on and on, and I don't think any exam would be nasty enough to be able to work a long way down, down 32 networks and typing in all that, or manually handwriting it in, however the exam might be presented. So from here, we've just got our questions here. So our third subnet range is, if we're including the network address and the broadcast address, our our network range for subnet 3 is 172.16.16.0 to 172.16.3.225. So let's type that in. 172.16.16, make it right, .16, 16.0 to 72.16.23.255. Okay, so that's our range. Now, if it said the usable host range, we need to obviously take away, ignore the 0 and ignore the broadcast address. So it'd just be simply these two, this range here. So just be careful on the terminology that comes on the question, because they do try and trip you up, these Cisco characters, by excluding the word usable and including the word usable. Okay, so the last usable host address on the fourth subnet. So again, we can't use the broadcast address for a host. So that is our answer there, is 172.16.31.254. And then the broadcast address for the second subnet is simply the last one on this network there. Okay, so hopefully that's clarified the differences now between a Class B and Class C. And I hope you understand this thoroughly.